Good evening, grade 2. How are you doing today? Now you have a reading class, so please take out your reading books. Open your books on page 104, 105, and write down today's date. Today is Monday, 12th of October 2020. Before we start our reading class, let us see what happened yesterday, what we had in our reading class. Yes, we talked about animals and how the animals work, how the animals survive or try to survive, to stay alive. Yes, that's great. And we also studied and learned new words. Those words were, who was ready to answer? Yes, great. Freedom, adapt, climate, eager, fresh, shadows, silence, and the word sense. And we already started our story, A Visit to the Desert. A Visit to the Desert. We started our story by Tim's family decision to go to spend the summer vacation at the grandma house in Nevada. But Tim was unhappy. Do you know why? He wanted to spend the summer vacation with his friends. Okay, now we will see what happened after that. Let's read now. The next morning, Grandma met them at the airport. Then they drove to the desert. As they hiked, Grandma explained that animals enjoy the open desert space. It gives them the freedom to move from place to place. Tim learned that the animals find ways to adapt to the hot desert weather. He wondered if he could get used to the desert climate. That's great. So hold your pencils now. Let's read and highlight some words that are new or unknown, and let's see what we have today. The next morning, Grandma met them at the airport. Then they drove. If you looked at all the actions here, you find them in the past because this story happened and finished. As they hiked, hike. What do we mean by hike? Hike, it's a kind of sport, long walking, or to walk for a long distance. This is hike. At the hike, Grandma explained like showed or she said more. Animals enjoy the open desert space. It gives them the freedom. You remember the meaning of the word freedom? Yes, to feel free or to be free. To move from place to place. Tim learned that the animals find ways to adapt. You remember the meaning of the word adapt? Yes, this means to get used to a place or a thing. To the hot desert weather. He wondered if. Wondered, this means he asked. If he could get used to the desert. So he get used here means adapt. Get used mean adapt. You can match them together. Great. Now it is page 105. Wow! Tim said, look at that. The turtle carries its home in its back. Look at the picture of the turtle here. Yes, the turtle is one of the animals that can adapt to the hot weather in the desert. Grandma smiled at Tim's excitement. Actually, she said, that is a desert tortoise. It looks for the shade made by the shadows of rocks. That's how it cools off. He burrows underground to get away from the heat. The tortoise disappeared into its burrow. Tim leaned over. You see how he leaned? Leaned, this means he bent his body. Over the hole. He could not hear a sound. I'll bet it likes the silence of its burrow, Tim whispered. I think it likes its sense of safety too, Grandma added. Okay, that was a short conversation between the grandma and Tim. They were hiking or walking in the desert. They watched some animals. One of these animals was the tortoise. Okay, let's see. Do we have here any hard words or any unfamiliar words? Wow, Tim said. Look at that. The turtle carries its home on its back. Carry, this means to hold. Hold. Grandma smiled at Tim's excitement. Actually, she said, that is a desert tortoise. So tortoise and turtle, the same meaning for the same animal. It looks for the shade. Looks for, this means search. She wants. Okay. The shade made by the shadows. Shade and shadows. Shade and shadows have the same meaning. That's how it cools off. Cool off, like to feel cool, or to be away of the heat of the sun. That tortoise disappeared. Disappeared, this means unseen. Unseen. They cannot see it. Into its burrow. Tim leaned over. How he leaned over? This means he bent his body. The hole, he could not hear a sound. I'll bet it likes the silence. You remember the meaning of the word silence? Yes, that's great. It means no sound. Of its burrow, Tim whispered. Whisper, this means he talks in a very low sound, so the tortoise cannot hear. I think it likes its sense. Sense here means feeling of safety too, Grandma added. That was our reading class today. Try to read these 2 pages. If you have a question, you can ask your teacher. Thank you so much. Have a good day.